I recently put up a video about the phenomenon of those people who are homeless by choice, the hobos. And I mentioned an episode of the Andy Griffith Show, which was called Opie's Hobo Friend. And it was about a hobo played by Buddy Ebsen as Mr. Dave, who came into town. And, you know, Opie started becoming kind of enamored with his way of life, with the way of not working and living by his wits. Okay, now Sheriff Taylor went over to talk to him about it, and Mr. Dave said, well, I do look at things differently than other people, but who's to say the boy would be better off your way or mine? Why not allow the kid to decide? And Sheriff Taylor said, well, it doesn't work that way with youngsters. Children will grab at any shiny thing they see, and by the time they realize it's got a hook in it, it's too late. And so Mr. Dave agreed to leave and said, well, your problem's solved, right? And Sheriff Taylor said, my problem's just started. You've left behind a lot of unscrambling to do. Okay. And then what happens in the next scene? Barney Fife has arrested Mr. Dave for stealing Aunt Bee's purse. Okay, and he mentions that he was standing outside with it as if he just wanted to get caught. Okay, Opie is there at the jail with his dad, and he looks at Mr. Dave and says, you took that purse that has the money in it that Aunt Bee uses to buy food? You took the money away from us that we need to live on? Okay, he's completely disillusioned with the idea of being a hobo. All right, Opie leaves, Barney leaves, and Sheriff Taylor says, it just so happens that I know that this is a purse that Aunt Bee threw away a couple of days ago, and there's no law against taking a purse out of a trash bin. Now, the fact is that we know from that Mr. Dave decided to do the unscrambling himself. He deliberately disillusioned Opie with his lifestyle. Okay, and that was the way that showed that the man had a certain amount of common sense and kindness, that he knew that his way is not the best way for most people, and he didn't want to leave a child behind, aspiring to be a hobo. Okay, and anyway, Sheriff Taylor says, I can't jail you over this, and Mr. Dave catches the next freight train out. And that was the way it was with a lot of Andy Griffith Show episodes. There was often a moral in there, but the moral grew organically out of the story. It didn't hit you over the head because it was a sitcom, not a sermon. And also one of the things that Barney Fife's character did, his kind of childlike deputy, was that he kept it from becoming too serious. Serious in a way that would be inappropriate for a sitcom. That was one reason why the Andy Griffith Show didn't last very long after Don Knotts left it. It really did need Barney Fife. There were a lot of episodes that had a kind of heartwarming aspect. The pickles thing is one of the best known because it got across the idea that they couldn't let Aunt Bee compete with store-bought pickles because that would be extremely unfair to those who were competing with their own pickles. And, Sheriff Taylor said, what small potatoes to one person can be very important to someone else, because Clara was very proud of winning the prize for her pickles. And anyway, I hope that you enjoyed hearing that and will subscribe to my channel.